Say boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say Rio.
Rio!
Thanks very much to someone in the comments who suggested that one to get us going. Slow-mo 1980. Cheers, lad. I'm into that. Let's get some energy going. Liverpool won last night at Newcastle, as I'm sure you know. They won in the last minutes, the dying moments, the 100th minute of injury time. Well, the 10th minute of injury time, but the 100th minute of the game. So Liverpool deflated, Newcastle elated, the Reds have blown a 2-0 lead against the Toon's 10 men, and then, well, I haven't triggered it up. I was gonna use John Bradley's commentary where he goes, Ngumhoa! But I wanted to say that, you know, even a stop clock tells the right time twice a day. And we did say on here, very, very soon, a commentator will be saying, Ngumhoa! And there it is.
You know what we should do for one of our clips this week? We should get you saying that, then they're happening, and then us talking about it right now.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That yeah. I mean, it sounds complicated than admin, but we'll do it.
It's not that complicated.
Or maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure John wouldn't mind. John was on Twitter saying, you know, maybe I could have done X, Y, and Z. And it was like, no, that was perfect, mate. We needed that. That was exactly what that moment did. That's what everyone did. I was just so pleased, you know, like I'd been moaning saying he should be on the pitch, not just in this game, but in the 2 games previous. And I was quite surprised that, given how well he'd done, he hadn't had a little sniff here and there. And I know there's all the kid gloves, 16-year-old, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm just looking at it going, yeah, but he's boss. Yeah, but he can do something. Yeah, but there's something about him. And let's fucking use that. Let's engage with that. And I was made up he put him on. I mean, I couldn't have predicted that, obviously, but turned out nice again.
It's that battle between conventional wisdom and what your heart and your instincts are telling you. Because, like, conventional wisdom says we have to kind of burn him in slowly. We can't give him too much too soon. I was very vocal saying that when we bring him on, we need to want him to come on, not need him to come on. And what do? We bring him on when we absolutely need him to do the business. And what does he do? He does the business.
It's just great. It's such a great goal. Like, I mean, you know, obviously Slot and whoever the mystery person is in the changing room has said that maybe he could have took a touch. Maybe you'd expect them to take a touch. But nah, just put it away. And I don't know if everyone's seen it. If not, go and watch it. I thought he come across really well in his interview as well. And like he was saying, well, that's the way I take it in training, and I've done it loads of times. It's not that much different with the fans in. It was like, wow.
I mean,
go on, son.
But that's the beauty of youth, though, isn't it? It's like you say, an older player would have taken a touch. An older player would have been conscious of the size of the moment. Because it's not just the fact that it's his first shot in the Premier League, his debut in the Premier League. It's the fact that it's the 100th minute, that it will be the winner in such a tempestuous game at a time when he's digging us out of a massive hole that we created of our own, by the way. And all of those things. And I think about, and I've been thinking about this a lot today, like, if he'd have missed that, I don't think he'd have got any kind of abuse. It'd have all been like, well, Liverpool needs to sign more players. You can't be relying on a 16-year-old to bail you out of trouble. And I feel like part of the reason why Slot brought him on is because there was no one else.
Well, I know. I mean, you know, there is an argument to say that you're watching that at times there and you're like, we just can't get out here and that's mad. And then we can't get out when we've even got an extra man and that's mad. And it was like, I was like, you know, watching it with my mates in the pub going, well, they hate to stay it, lads, but we're missing Diaz. We're missing someone who can carry the ball. We're missing someone who can run at defenders here because, you know, it's not really happening here. And like, as you say, we put loads of pressure on ourselves. But we'll get into all of this. I mean, I'll do some of the stuff because, you know, it is important to do it. The lad's made history. Yeah. The lad is officially the youngest goal scorer in Liverpool's history at 16 years and 361 days. So well in, Rio, lad. You know, let's enjoy that. Let's say this is in a world where there's so much shite going on. This is a nice, pure moment. A 16-year-old lad who's boss, playing for Liverpool with a smile on his face, and he scored the winner and set a record. He's a day, or when he did it, he was a day older than when Wayne Rooney famously did it. But of course, our man is wearing the right colours. Yes. And he's the 4th youngest scorer in the history of the Premier League behind James Vaughan, James Milner, boss, Wayne Rooney, begrudgingly boss. So check out that interview if you didn't see it. He seems a good lad. He will be 17 on Friday when he will sign his first pro contract. Loads of positivity around the lad, rightly so, and we can look forward to seeing more from him.
Absolutely. I think it's quite funny as well because the Arsenal were quite rightly pleased by their 15-year-old boy Max Dowman coming on and winning a penalty. And don't get me wrong,
looked all right,
he did look very good. I think he's going to be a very star. But then Rio was just like, nah.
Yeah, hold my beer. If I could drink one.
hold my beer. And it was just the confidence to be able to come in and do that. And I love the fact that he put it the goalie side as well. Like there was just nothing in his head apart from, I'm scoring this, so I'm going to put it right over there, and you're not even going to move. And it was just, every time we talk about him, there's that voice in the back of my head that's just saying, calm down. It's like, the Ralph Hasenhüttl meme, where he's running and then all of a sudden he just goes, whoa. Yeah. That's me every time I talk about Rio and see him. But
I just enjoy it. I think, let's not overthink it. Let's enjoy it. Let's get behind the lad and let's see what happens. Hopefully, I've not heard too much about, the type of people he's got around him or what his family set up with is or anything like that. I don't know. I'm sure all of this will come out because there will be journalists knocking absolutely everywhere now because that's what happens when this happens. But unbelievable. Shout out to Matthew May, who was thrown in 200,000 dong. And he said, after such a ding-dong of a game, it seems right to get the dong out. We absolutely ding their dong. Get in! We love a bit of dong on a Tuesday afternoon.
The punnage along with the dong, that just...
There's never a bad time to get your dong out, particularly on a Tuesday afternoon after a great win like that. In terms of the game then, for me, that is the best way to win a match. We can do all the stuff and we will come on to there is some glass half empty stuff in this performance, obviously. But, just to win it in that manner, after that build-up, after all the bollocks from, the journalists and their fan media and all of the nonsense, and even the way the game unfolded, to win a match with, almost that last kick of the game. I seen Carragher saying, it's almost saying like it's a bit shit in a way, in that, because they will know they didn't play well. They'll know there's loads to work on and all that. And I get why he says that as an analyst, but equally I just thought, but in the moment, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. It's such a lift for the lads, such a lift for the club, the team, the fans. It all goes off. And surely the way I am now, the way you are now, where you're like, I'm so made up for the lad. I'm so made up it's him. I'm so made up we've got 6 points on the board, despite throwing 2-goal leads away twice. I'm so glad that we're right up there with 6 points, boiling piss all over the nation again, despite not, there being loads wrong. I don't know, I wasn't fully on board with it. And then I loved it. So I'm a bit like, oh, come on, Carrie, you fucking Grinch. And then I seen the clip where he's going nuts in the studio and I was like, there we go. There he is. Back in the good books.
No, to be honest, it's like, it's the difference between the analysts and the fan. And so I understand him saying that, in the moment, the players will be elated, but then when they get into training, Slot will have the long list of all the things that they could have done better, and it will be a little bit more somber. And the flip side for Newcastle, they'll be on the floor at the moment, but then when they go back in tomorrow, they'll be like, we did so many good things. And I get that part of it, but for us, oh no, this is perfect. This is beautiful. I honestly, and I say this knowing that it sounds ridiculous, if we can win the next 36 games in injury time, if you had a contract right in front of me to say, sign this and Liverpool win the next 36 games in injury time, I would sign it. I would sign it with my wrong hand. I would sign it with my foot.
I'd sign it also while simultaneously putting a call in to check on my life insurance. Because these things really do put you through the ringer. But it's why you do it, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And to have 2 weeks, 2 games, 2 late winners, and already we are where we are. And I, no shock to people who watch or listen to this on the regular, I really enjoy, obviously, the Liverpool side of it, but I really enjoy that will get up other people's noses, because I spent all of those years of my formative years watching Man United do exactly that. Play shite, win. Play shite, a sub comes on, wins it for them. And here we are, we're doing it, and they're crap.
The difference between then is that you had to suffer it alone, and you had all of your pain, and maybe you and your family in the room, and then you just turn off the TV in disgust. Now, all those other people, all those United fans who are suffering it from Liverpool, we get to see them because they're sitting in their bedroom recording themselves and they're chatting all the crap before it happens, and then you get to see them fold. So again, it's like, you know, that episode of The Simpsons where Ralph Wiggum's heart just crushes when Lisa shouts at him, like, I never loved you. You just see the moment where his heart goes, ah! We get to see that week in, week out. And you know what? If you'd have told me when I was 14 that this was going to happen, again, I'd probably sign up for it.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I was thinking on the way in? I was thinking, you know, we talked about Jurgen Klopp obviously like being, you know, rock and roll football and all this kind of stuff. And then we were like, you know, we had Arne last season and we didn't know what we were getting, and we didn't know what he'd be like, and we could see he'd tweak stuff and he slowed stuff and stuff like that. And you were a bit like, well, is this more ambient? Is this like, you know, acid jazz?
Not going to be as much fun.
Yeah. And then here we are. 3-2, absolutely wild. Yeah, it's you know, it's almost like Arne might have wanted to do that, but Liverpool had other ideas. Do you know what I mean? And here we are, and it's absolutely glorious. And you know what I was thinking as well today? I was like, you know, how many of these moments do we get? It seems like a lot. It is a lot. And Dominic King tweeted out something this morning. He said Ngumhoa's goal was the 5th time Liverpool have scored a winner in the 90th minute plus versus Newcastle. Collymore 96, Fowler 97, Carvalho 22, Nunes 23 are the others. And then he said, and that's also a joint Premier League record, and Liverpool hold that too. And that's for late goals against Everton. Get in!
You know what else I just realised?
Boss being us, isn't it?
You know what I just realised from reading that tweet? So 96 and then 97, 2 years back to back. 22 and 23, 2 years back to back. So guess what, Newcastle? It's coming again next season. We're going to do it back to back one more time.
And lads, you know, after all the bravado and all the rest of it and all the stuff that was coming out and some of the mad stuff from your fan media, and look, I know that doesn't represent everyone and they're all right Geordies and all of that stuff, but my word, you haven't beat us for 10 years in the league, lads. So maybe dial it down a little bit next time. And you're not our rivals in any way whatsoever. Okay, well, the game then, the actual game. Let me just give a few more people a shout out here, because I always do. If you're bothering to send us stuff, then it's only right, isn't it? And so we've had from Nicholas Buseka, 100,000 Australian dollars. Thanks very much.
Nice.
He says, get up to watch your show, lads. Have some drinks on me. Absolutely love your show. Go the Reds. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much for that. Dan Burridge just throwing a tenner in, and he says, this is the pod that makes my commute better. I've wanted to chuck a super chat in since you aired episode 79, where you nailed your thoughts first time, catching you live. So here you go. Nice one, Dan, lad. This seems to be the beauty of doing it at slightly a different time. We're getting a different crack. Oh my word, Johnny Clark's throwing a tenner in. Have a few pints of crisps and Geordie tears on me, lads, he says, while throwing 10 quid our way. Thank you very much, mate. Very much appreciated. The game itself then, Newcastle 2, Liverpool 3. XG from both sides is absolutely piss poor. 0.7 from Liverpool, 0.9 from Newcastle. They had 10 shots. We had 5. They had 3 on target. We had 4 on target. They had 38% possession. We had 62. Field tilt my arse. Come on. But I mean, the thing that was frustrating about it was there was no surprise, was there, from anything Newcastle did. I think we could all see where it was going. We know that they're a passionate set of fans anyway. We know that it was bank holiday. We know that the Toon offers a lot of opportunity to have a pint very near to the stadium. I've seen a stat once upon a time about most boozers and bars within a certain, perimeter of the ground. Basically, it is Newcastle, no shock. And so, you knew what you were going to get. They were going to be bang up for it, and that was likely to transmit to the team, and it did. I thought the ref was fucking shit in the first half an hour. He got better, I think, as it went on. But how Trippier didn't end up in the book, I don't know.
So this is the thing that refs are doing now. And I've noticed it as well, because the same thing happened last couple of times we went to Goodison, where they decide that when there's a big game and there's lots of argy-bargy and one of the teams has been vocal about using their physical attributes, they try to not do anything. They try to let it go. They don't want to go in and show yellow cards and early on because they think that the game will flow better. And if they give yellow cards early, that means they're going to give red cards early. And everyone's like, that spoils the game. The problem The problem is with that sentiment is that what you then get is if you are letting stuff go, like I say, Trippier or Joe Linton booting Cody Gakpo in the head or any of those other early fouls, every time you let one of them go, the next one's bigger. And Newcastle become bolder and braver and more likely to go in hard and even more likely to go in reckless. And look what happened. They went in far too reckless. And by the way, speaking of the referee,
ref cam in the bin.
Yes. Oh God, yes.
What was that?
I gave up playing GoldenEye when I was like 18. I don't really need to go through with it again. But no, the thing about the ref is like that red card incident. Okay, I don't know where he was standing, but most people
yellow.
He gave it a yellow, and then not only that, but they get in his ear. They're like, "You need to have a look at this. This is definitely a red." How many times did he need to look at it? And anyway, he probably didn't even need to look at the review of the tackle. Just go and look at Virgil's leg.
I know.
That's all you need to see to get a red card. So, yeah, the refs, like I say, this is not just... I mean, we can all put the boot into Simon Hooper, and I'm sure that people will be up and down the country. But the fact is that he's not alone in the way the game's ref. How many times we spoke about Liverpool having more of the ball and yet how somehow having a higher foul count than the opposition? It happens so often. And I've seen people talk about Liverpool got bullied by Newcastle, and it's like, yeah, they were more physical and Liverpool were losing a lot of battles. But if every time you go into a physical battle, you're getting a free kick given against you, and they're allowed to get away with GBH, then it's going to be really difficult to win the physical battle, because every time you go into it, you're thinking, well, I have to worry about not getting a card here, whereas Newcastle clearly didn't.
Well, Simon Hooper, if anyone needs reminding, was the referee at Tottenham Hotspur. No, you let it go! You let it go! You fucking let it go! I'm not letting it go. You let it go. So as soon as I seen the blade on the pitch, I was like, here we go again. It's that fella again. Honestly, it does my head in talking about referees. I don't really like it, but having saw what I saw, I was like, we've got to mention him today because he was shit.
Yeah,
he was crap. He was a homer. And thankfully VAR intervened to get Gordon sent off, because it is a sending off. And I can't believe I've seen anyone anywhere defend it as not being. But the internet's the internet, and of course there was someone. There's always someone. But it was a red card. But yeah, you do wonder there. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Like, Opta Joe put something out saying there was 19 fouls in the first half of the game, the most in 45 minutes of a Premier League match so far this season, and the most in the first half of a game between these two sides since March 2006. I mean, I liked it where you could see Virgil literally saying, it's the same for both sides. Yeah. And, when you see, of course there's that element in football where, the people wearing the red shirt and the people wearing the striped shirt will put their hand up for everything, appeal for everything. It's sort of like an accepted part of the game. But I still think you can see in the level of incredulity, can't even say the word, but you know what I mean? When they're like, oh my God, are you, and there's a load of them doing it. You're like, he's got it wrong. They don't know what's going on. And like I say, Virgil respectfully saying to him, you can book them as well, lad. Because I thought it was only going one way, to be honest, when all of that was going, which was us losing a player
absolutely.
Again at that stadium.
I mean, dare I say it, like literally 2 years ago, Virgil was sent off for a tackle on Anthony Gordon.
Yes.
And this time it was the other way around.
And I don't remember us saying that was corrupt. But anyway, lads. Yeah, but, look, we weathered the storm, if you want to call it that. The way they started the game, the way the crowd was and everything like that. Eventually you see it sort of die down. And, we nicked a goal. But around that half an hour mark, I did start to think, they've lost some intensity now. We've quietened the crowd a bit. You know, it's a bit European away type thing. The crowd have gone down a notch. They're not pushing on as much now. We're getting a little bit of the ball, albeit that, you know, we always seem to be in some kind of rush to do something once we got up there. It's just like I thought it was a strange performance all around. Like, you know, just sort of like, I get to take the sting thing out of a game, but that can't be a plan for the whole game.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
And particularly the way it worked was that like you say, I understand the reasoning behind taking the sting out of the game, but what that allowed is that allowed Newcastle to just have a row of 5 in between our defence and the midfield, and just made it really hard to get them the ball. Like, we're going to come on to talk about Florian Wirtz in later on, but I think so much of the problem is that we were just not connected between the defence and the rest of the team. So they'd kind of pass it amongst each other, and then they'd try and go direct and lose the ball and start again. And yeah, it was just, I felt like the tactics of what we were trying to do didn't quite suit what we knew Newcastle were going to want to do. And it took a little while, but they were never going to be able to be intense for 90 minutes. They weren't even, like you say, able to do it for the whole half. So there was always, if we were smart, going to be a chance to get on the ball and start to create things, make things happen. And when we were not just on the ball, but patient with it, we were able to open up those spaces. And obviously Grav scored his, I call it his daddy goal, because obviously he's just become a daddy.
Yeah.
Curtis got his daddy goal last season, and hopefully Maka will get his daddy goal on Sunday. But yeah, I was so pleased because, as you well know, I've been saying that he needs to score for quite some time. And there it is. There it is.
I mean, all the goals, you know, for all the talk that's now out there, you know, about Rio or about a poor Liverpool performance or about poor old Newcastle or whatever, you know, all of our goals are actually quality. You know, so okay, it, you know, takes a little nick as it's going in, but you know, it's still a great shot. It's still well placed, and you know, like you should still
keepers
put your
never
hands
getting
up.
in nick or no nick.
No. And then, you know, the Rio, well, of course Rio gets the headlines. He's 16 years old. But it's such a brilliant team goal, and every single player has touched the ball for Liverpool in the build-up, except for Szoboszlai, and that's some decision not to touch the ball. You know, like, that's genius, isn't it?
And he didn't know he was there either, did he?
Well, allegedly not, but I mean, whatever the reason, and it's just a lovely goal, isn't it? Like, and it's a lovely move, and the only thing about it really is that it made you think, why didn't they do this before, lads? Because, like, you know, you could see what Newcastle would do, and, you know, they're getting stuck in. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 coming at players, and you're like, okay, but if you can beat them, then there's space the other side of it. And it was like, I don't know how we got dragged. I get, like, we got dragged into the fight, and, you know, they were very direct, and Slot talked about later about, you know, the goalie going long, and, you know, there's another stat, I think I've got it in here somewhere, about, you know, how little... 40.8%. The ball was in play for just 40.8%, not 48, 40.8 of tonight's game between Newcastle and Liverpool. The lowest percentage in a Premier League match since February 2010. Stoke against Blackburn. Yeah. So it was all very stop-start and all that. And let's have it right. Liverpool were doing their bit in slowing it down at the start, taking the time, and you wanted them to, because, like I said before, made sense to take the sting out. But it was like, I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't get my head around why we couldn't make it stick anyway. Do you know what I mean? The only one who looked like he could maybe make it stick was Ekitike, but I thought they were treating him like a real threat, like they were all in on him every, you know, and rightly so, because he scored a belter of a goal.
He did.
With a belter of a finish. 3-3.
We, the mad thing is that we had a whole half of that game with an extra player, and we didn't even have one shot between Ekitike's goal after 30 seconds into the second half and Rio's goal a minute before the end, like nearly 50 minutes later. Not one shot. And we weren't playing like a team that had an extra player. It was almost like, well, this is the obvious tactic, like you say, when they come to you, and they were always going to come. They were always going to come with intensity. They were always going to overcommit. But when they overcommit, that means that there's a space somewhere to find a spare red shirt, and just keep popping it around them. Like, there was this period just before and 10 minutes after their first goal, where it's just like, I wanted to just pause it, run down there, jump into the crowd, and just be like, Just keep the ball.
I know.
They can't score if you
That's
just
what
keep
I was
the
screaming.
ball.
That was what I was screaming.
And also, and I mean, we'll talk about set pieces as well. Like, this is a team that, as we well know, were quite short of attacking talent. They just had their makeshift striker sent off. Why are we giving them opportunities in the one attacking threat they had left, which is set pieces? Why are we not denying them set pieces? Why are we not doing a better job of not letting it go out for a corner, not letting it go out for a throw? Because, and I reiterate, we had one extra player, so we should be able to keep the ball without having to kick it out of play. But no, we gave them set piece after set piece after set piece, and eventually they were able to make something out of them.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to sort of, like, it is a celebration, and we were all dead happy at the start. And all that. But,
it's both. It's both.
It is both at the same time. Yeah, we've got to do some of the context as well, I think. So, 6 out of 6, like I said already, in terms of points, and 2 of the better teams in the league. We only managed to draw at Newcastle last year, but you can't say that Konate didn't play well. Konate didn't play well, is what I meant. Sorry. So you've got to reference that. You've got to reference that Mo Salah's hardly in the game again, and that's now a growing trend. Equally, we've got Szoboszlai at right back, and he was absolutely brilliant. And apparently, the only time he's previously done it is in a behind closed doors game for Liverpool. So fair fucks. And then he makes the contribution with the dummy at the end too. Didn't stop running the whole game. Magnificent, and hopefully starting to win over some of the doubters that seem to remain around him. So yeah, patched up team. We still yet to see basically the strongest 11. We're still integrating these new signings. One of our centre halves is really obviously not playing well. Wirtz, it did kind of look like he was wandering around going, what the fuck's this then? Because a few times, it kind of looked like he thought something was a foul and it wasn't a foul because it's England, not Germany. Maybe the pace of it all, he was maybe a little bit like, but all in all, he wasn't particularly influential, was he?
No, but I don't put it all on his door. I think we didn't do a good enough job of getting in the ball. And I was thinking about this, and I looked on the Opta pass maps. And if you look at it, the people who passed to him last night, Szoboszlai passed to him twice. Gravenberch passed to him 4 times. Ekitike passed to him twice. Kirkes passed to him twice. Only Curtis Jones, who passed to him 9 times. That was it. Now, if you go back to even just the Bournemouth game the week before, the only 2 players on the pitch who didn't pass to him were Konate and Alisson. Everyone else was passing. Everyone else was finding him on the ball. They obviously knew that was the plan. Get him the ball, get him more comfortable to dictating the play. We couldn't do it. And a part of that was, like I was saying, because of Newcastle's bank of 5 between the defence and the midfield. Yeah. But part of it was because of we were just rushing when we did have the ball. We weren't calm and composed enough on it. And the same with Mo Salah. Like, 3 players passed Mo Salah the ball. One was Ekitike, one was Gravenberch, and one was Szoboszlai. That's it.
Yeah, and you've got to think that that's something they're going to start to work on, because it's a bit mad to go from, like, he was literally the outlet last season. Every time Virgil plays that ball to him, he brings it down. We know he can hold it up, and we move on from there to him basically, virtually being anonymous in game. And okay, you've got the situation with behind him in that, Trent's gone. And obviously they had an understanding that went back years. So that's going to take time to build. It hasn't helped that Frimpong's out. Bradley's being injured. Then Bradley's coming on. Then Bradley's looking a bit rash and I'm sure all of this will settle down. Yeah. But equally, I understand when I'm looking out there at what people are saying. People are a little bit concerned at the same time, because it's like, it seems mad when you're 6 out of 6 and you're doing what you should be doing. But equally, you sort of go, is this sustainable? How are we going to get on against Arsenal? You know what I mean? I get it when people are saying that kind of stuff. But equally, to bring it back to Ekitike, he's the fucking business.
Oh, yeah.
He's the business. That's a lovely goal. I thought Newcastle treated him like he was the business. And he's the 10th player to score in each of his first 3 appearances for Liverpool, and only his second to do it in the last 50 years, with the last one being Daniel Sturridge in 2013. Right. He was all right, wasn't he? He was all right. So, I'm confident now. I was less confident when we got him. I was like, But now, you know, having seen a bit of him, I'm like, oh yeah.
To be honest with you, I think we were all going to have to cop for the fact that this was going to take some time. Like you said, there's so much new stuff happening. There's so many, not only new players coming in, but some of the old players playing in different positions. Like Szoboszlai's been in basically 2 different positions than he was in previously. So there's going to be a bit of, it's not quite right yet. It's going to take some time to get to where we want to be. But of all of the new players, if you'd have given me the chance to have one of them get off the mark quickly, it would have been him. Because he's probably under the most pressure, even more than Wirtz, because he's the goal scorer. He's the one who's got to put the ball in the back of the net. And if he wasn't doing it, he's the one who's going to hear about it first. But you know what? People can't say a thing about him because he's doing it. And my favourite thing about him in this game was that it kind of righted some of the wrongs that we've seen in, and I say wrongs, it was a very small one, like the Community Shield game where we had the chance right after half time and he fluffs it this time straight there. And then in the other games you've seen he scored a goal and then there's a couple of others where it's like, oh, I could have done better there. He had one chance.
I think I'm going to have to go and see a therapist or something though about it all. I think I'm going to have to go and see someone so that I stop saying Núñez wouldn't have scored that. I've got to let it go. It's going
to take a while.
Let it go.
It's going to take a while.
Let it go.
But you know what? Like, he's not bothered about Núñez. He's not bothered about Isak. He's not bothered about anybody else. He's just enjoying being Liverpool's main man right now. And I'm so pleased for him. And I hope it continues.
He looks that settled, doesn't he? I mean, I know you're only basing this on what you're seeing on the pitch sort of thing. No idea what's going on in his personal life or whatever, but he just looks like he's been here for years already sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And again, someone who looks unruffled compared to all of the potential.
That means he's a cool bastard because he is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to get another goal against Arsenal. I just
come on, 4 out of 4.
Yeah, you just get that sense that he's got it in him, and he's just going to keep going until someone really tries to stop him.
I've got to give a shout out to Stu Wright. We had a big long walk at the weekend, which we may come on to talk about in the Patreon later on. And we had a big long walk over on the Wirral, a few of us, 13 miles. And while we were on a 13-mile walk, obviously you talk about lots of different things. One thing was Ekitike, and we were talking about his start, his song, and all of that kind of stuff. And Stu is not having the conga.
No?
No, he's just not having it. He said we can do better than that. And he's give a shout out to Sean Koemans, who came up with he slightly tweaked it, Stu. So he's suggesting that we should do Panic on the Streets of London, Manchester and Birmingham. And the main bit being Ekitike, Ekitike, Ekitike.
Do you not remember me saying this to you last
I do. You did. But I'm following it up because Stu was on my case to follow up.
Yes.
Yeah, he messaged me last night and he tweets from the late challenge. Like, all right, mate, yeah. So, you know, if we can all fix that to be the song for him, sound, and if we can't, also sound. I mean, I'm all right with the conga.
Yeah,
you know, I'm just glad he's got a song and there's a way to appreciate him.
Most Salah's got like 3. He can have 2. And I put it this way: if he bags away in Manchester, then we're definitely going to do the Ekitike, the Smith song.
Well, yeah,
it has to happen.
Right, where are we on the agenda then? We were talking about sort of I wanted to just touch again on the sort of the wildness of the build up to this game, and perhaps that how that ended up being counterproductive a little bit for Newcastle. So this is a game that had already had 16 red cards in it, now 17, and that's second only to Everton. Third only to Liverpool v Man United and Everton v Liverpool for red cards. So there's been moments of beef in the past and all the rest of it. But this was wild. I thought all week, the stuff I was reading, seeing, stuff from Shearer, stuff from that Luke Edwards fella on the Telegraph and all that, you know, from the fan channels, I would kind of expect it, but even then it was so over the top. And I was like, lads, what's this about? You know, and I seen this last night, again from Sean Koemans, perhaps drop him a tenner for all this content that I'm nicking from him, but He quote tweeted Anthony Gordon's little statement last night where he said, "I want to sincerely apologise to my teammates and the fans. My intentions were pure. I was just trying to create energy in the game and I mistimed the tackle. I also want to apologise to Virgil. I would never intend to tackle someone like this on purpose. We spoke after and he knows that." And it goes on with more bollocks. But Sean just basically said, they've whipped themselves into an absolute frenzy about a bog standard bid for a player who wants to leave. This was the inevitable result. And it did kind of feel like that because, you look at that in isolation and you're like, what are you doing? Like, all Virgil's about to do is clear it upfield. There's no, like, immediate danger that you'd have to put in some, like, last-ditch tackle. And if you just close them down, if you want to get the energy, that would have achieved it. People can see you putting the effort in. So the tackle was wild. But I've got to give a shout out to one of the worst fan accounts I've seen for absolute nonsense in the last week or so. So Magpie Media, my word, have they churned some shit the last week or so. So get on this as an example. So, like, I'll just unfold myself and prepare myself to fucking say these words. So, we're going to do unholy things to Liverpool that night, whether Isak's in red, black and white playing or not involved. St James's Park under the lights, first home game of the season. It'll be an atmosphere like no one's ever seen before. Every tackle, every throw-in. The stadium is going to be at the height of fever pitch. And then it goes on about snapping at the heels, leaving elbows in, preying on Salah's every touch, Alanga on the counter, Ramsdale whipping the crowd up. Absolute cinema doesn't do it justice. I cannot wait. Game of the season, game of the decade. They'll be having nightmares about it for the rest of their careers.
I mean,
went well.
There's a couple of things that he's right about. Game of the season, I'll give him that, definitely. They'll be having nightmares about it for the rest of their careers, as long as they are
is
you.
Them.
Is them. But yeah, I saw this last week as well, and like you say, it's indicative of what we saw a lot of. It was very much like there was a concerted effort to make it a grudge match, to make it us against them, to show Alexander that we're as good as them, he doesn't need to leave us for them, etc., etc. But it goes over the top. And look, you've mentioned it in the agenda, and you're spot on to say that Liverpool have tried to harness that kind of energy and atmosphere before. The difference, though, is more often than not, Liverpool don't spend the week talking about whipping up atmosphere. Liverpool, when they have a big game where they know the atmosphere is necessary, they know it's necessary. You don't need to talk about it. You just go there and you do it. And this was the difference. It was almost like they had wound themselves up. They'd overdosed on sugar.
Yeah.
And then they had a little bit of a crash.
I mean, for me, like, I don't want to go too over the top on it because I do think, I like Newcastle. I've said this before. Yeah. I like Newcastle as a place. I like Geordies as a set of people. I've had some good nights up there. It's a place where, in another set of circumstances, I don't think I wouldn't mind living there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think I would be quite happy in and among those people. I love the vibe of the city and all the rest of it. And I don't want to give them too much shit because I think there are similarities in terms of how we are about our football team. We're very emotional about it. I've written 1,000,001 fucking tub thumpers over the years. I've come onto podcasts and talked about under the lights and get into them and all that kind of stuff. But as you say, it's not a button you can press all the time. And it's like, press it in the right circumstances, like Barca or, the Derby or the Manx or whatever, or some big European night. Okay, but this just felt false. It just felt, it wasn't actually there. And it was like, Luke Edwards claiming a rivalry when there's no rivalry and going on about being rattled when we're not rattled. No. And it was just like, it doesn't ring true, lads. Do you know what I mean? It's just not there. And the weird thing about that Luke Edwards piece was that he literally says in it, like, the danger of creating false rivalries, and then goes on to write about creating a false rivalry. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, I cringed all week at all of it, and I kept tweeting about it and kept looking around, and I don't know. It's like, Oh yeah, the other point I wanted to make on it is, obviously they beat us in the League Cup final. Now, if you went back and watched us talking about it, we said, as much as it hurt to lose in any final, we kind of made up for them. You know what I mean? Like, all of those years, all of those decades, fuck all to celebrate. You know, it was like, boss that. And there was all little stories, granddads, dads, sons, daughters, and all of that. And it was like, it's good that.
That's what it's
sound
about.
That. Yeah. It's nice that. And it was like, I felt like saying to that Luke fella, well, we wouldn't be like that about you. And we wouldn't have said all that about you if there was this big horrible... if Man U won something, we wouldn't be going, and made up for them. You know what I mean?
Okay, if Everton won something, we wouldn't say that, would we?
No. No. And it's not even on the agenda to talk about the absolute, people falling over themselves about that stadium. Sound, that's great. But some of the stuff on Match of the Day and in the media and, tweets saying every red is fuming. About what?
I was there. It was beautiful.
What am I fuming about?
But I'm still happy that we've got Anfield.
Yeah.
Let them have a great stadium. And you know what?
Sad.
I'll say a little sidebar.
Have it, lads, without the projection.
Yeah, I was at the game, and this was one of those occasions where they didn't need to use us as a yardstick. They could just be themselves and enjoy it themselves. And for the most part, that's what I saw. They were having a great time, and let them have it. And you know what? They've got a good chance of not having to worry about relegation for a change, and that might be good as well.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. But obviously, when we play them, we want to beat them, and that will never change.
Yeah, because they're actually our rivals, and I don't want them to win anything ever. But yeah, it's all been a bit mad, a bit of a mad week, and I still don't sort of get what it is Liverpool are supposed to have done so wrong. I still don't get, it seems to be predicated a lot of this stuff on, well, nasty Liverpool, big bad Liverpool did this and this, so let's get them type of thing. All they did, lads, was put in one of the biggest bids for a player in this league ever. And it's like we shit on your doorstep.
But we're the new girlfriend, and they're the jilted ex-lover. So whether we did anything or not, everything that we've done is going to be viewed through the prism of, oh, well, clearly they're evil, they're awful. They must be to have turned his head and whisked him away and made him act in all these horrible ways. And it's like, no.
Well, you know what? After you brewed up all that beef, I really enjoyed, as I was supping on my pint watching this one, the little bits that were thrown back. So I enjoyed Isak's right, Newcastle is shite. From the travelling cop. I also enjoyed hand them over, Newcastle. Great bits of beef back.
And you know what? I bet he enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the right level of stuff, isn't it? Shout out to Depino. I'm having a go. Don't batter me. 500 of something or other. A strange P symbol, which I don't recognise as a currency, but nevertheless, appreciate you sending 500 of those. They say, I love how Newcastle tried to act like the final boss, only to end up being the comedic relief villain in a filler episode. Proper clown behaviour. We've also had Reagan. Oh, get out of my way. Not you, Reagan. Some advert popped up as I tried to look. Reagan has thrown in £4.99 into the late challenge pot and says, Man U slander, Yoro hasn't started in a win against the current Premier League side.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, mate. Always good to have a laugh at what's going on down there.
5 points clear of them already.
Yeah. Mal has thrown in a fiver, says, love the show, boys. Always a good take on the footy here. Thank you very much. That is very, very kind. So yeah, back to this game, back to the footy. Now, Konate, Kirkes, Konate in particular has put in back-to-back stinkers really here now. Kirkes really not great on that first goal. Don't know what he's trying to do because you're not up against the grok there. You could definitely just jump, and he tries to do that weird block thing and it doesn't work. And there is a thing with him. I didn't think it was absolutely appalling or anything like that personally. I've seen some people going very over the top about him, but he's got this real propensity to go to the floor, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He loves a bit of going on the ground. And when he was doing it in our box, I was like,
This was one of the things that I, and shout out to my good friend Josh Williams, flagged up last season. It was a bit like, this is something that if he's going to play for Liverpool, he's probably going to have to iron out of his game. I think it's probably a better way to put it, because it clearly is his instinct to be aggressive, to be front foot. But the problem was when he was up against someone like Elanga, it was almost what he was thinking in his head, well, I can't run with him because he's so quick. So I have to just tackle him straight as soon as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, that's not going to work either. Because if you mistime the tackle, then you're going to get yourself into trouble. But I give him grace because he's still, not only is he getting used to a new team, not only is it a massive step up, with all due respect, between Bournemouth and Liverpool, but we're asking him to do different things than he was doing at Bournemouth. At Bournemouth, he was just bombing up and down.
Yeah.
For a good example, if you go and watch the game that he played at St James's Park for Bournemouth last season, where he scores and they win 4-0, and it's just like an absolute masterclass from him and from everyone. And you can go back, and that was when a lot of people were like, oh, want this fella at Liverpool, blah, 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 blah. He's not doing that because we're not asking him to do that. He's playing more of like a third centre-half at times for Liverpool, and it's a very different thing. And it's going to take some time to get used to it. And he's 21 years old.
So Robbo for the weekend?
I'm tempted. I must admit I am tempted. Because going back to what we were saying, and look, yes, we haven't forgotten Robbo's made some ricks in the past over the course of his recent past of his career. So we're not saying he's blameless. Otherwise, we wouldn't have wanted to get a new left back in the first place. But you do need to be careful, because if you just keep Kirkes going and he keeps having poor performances, you might end up killing him completely.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of think back to Robbo almost, in that, you think about when he first arrived. We didn't see him for a while, did we? You know what I mean? It was like Klopp did that a few times, didn't he? Did it with Fabinho as well, where it was like, until you're up to speed with what we want, you're not in the side. And I wonder whether, there's a case for that here, maybe, or certainly for swap Robbo in and out here and there, because, like you say, you don't want to kill his confidence. You don't want to make him think, I just can't cut it here, and it becomes a mental thing. Then, do you know what I mean?
The only caveat to that is last season, Robbo's two worst games were against Saka, who's thankfully not playing, and Madueke, who's probably going to be there to replace him. So I don't know whether or not Slot's a little bit apprehensive around that, but yeah, I think I would be tempted to put him back in and just say to Kirkes, look, just watch for a little bit, because after this game is the international break. Go away, play for your country, get some confidence back, and then come back.
Fuck off the international break. I wanted to just read this out, just because there's been a million and one versions of the Rio song, which was Rio Ferdinand's song, so I'm a bit unsure on adopting it for our Rio. But nevertheless, this version from Paul Estlin is quite impressive. So he's gone for it. His name is Rio, and he dances down the line, takes on his man again, and makes us all feel fine. And when he scores a goal, he fills us all with glee. Oh, Rio Ngumhoa, he plays for LFC. Yeah. That's decent, lad, to be fair. I'll give you that one, mate. That's not bad. But there's just the Ferdinand thing for me. Whereas every time I hear that song, I think of that absolute bell. So I'm not sure for that reason. Got to fly through some other stuff as we're starting to run out of time in the free show. So there's a lot of worry out there that I see about, is this sustainable? Can we keep going this way? I've heard a lot of people saying Liverpool can't just keep outscoring opponents as a plan. It can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
It can.
We just have a bell that we ring every time we say it.
Yeah, like a little mick on the wall appears or something. Why am I saying it can go on like this? Well, according to Opta, Liverpool have found the net in 98% of their Premier League matches under Slot, 39 out of 40, the highest percentage of games scored in by any manager with 15 or more games in the competition's history. Further to that, Liverpool have now scored in 36 successive league matches, equaling the club record run, which was set in 2019, well, between March 2019 and February 2020. In addition to that as well, more importantly, some would say, there was no sign of the slip-ons last night.
Or the blazer that got a lot of heat in the first game as well.
Well, whatever those webs were he had on last night, they looked good. They looked all right there. I couldn't clock what they actually were, but they were a big improvement on the slip-ons. So fair play on a lad. Not only coaching a side to score in virtually every match and making it really enjoyable, now adjusting to the world of footwear on Merseyside. And we got a tweet in from Aaron who said, are we seeing a narrative developing that even though we're literally the champions, people say we don't look like a team that plays like champions, so we're in some way lucky? I think rivals are again underestimating us, but I've got no problem with that. Similar, mate. Like I think by the nature of football fans and by the fact that you're so invested and that you know the next 9 months you're in, and you're in every day, and you're in every weekend, and this is going to define a lot of life, then of course you worry. Of course you think, is he going to be any good? Is that going to happen? We can't keep going like this. That's not a plan. It's not sustainable. How can we keep doing this? That's just natural. Slot's got it, lads. Slot's all right. Slot's won us the league, and I'm confident we'll be all right. Shout out to Danny Williams in Bangor, Wales. He says, it would mean the world to me if I could get a shout out after working nights on my 43rd birthday. Wow. I just about managed to see Rio's winner after clocking in. I'm hoping for another win and at least a couple of new signings before the deadline. Up the Reds. Is right, Danny. Well, we enjoyed work, knowing that the Reds have done what they did. And yeah,
there's nothing better than that when you start work and you've just seen the result and you can just have because not only have you just got that warm glow knowing that they did the business, but you know that when you finish, you get to go home and actually watch
and
it.
Hopefully as well, whatever you do, mate, as a living, hopefully you got to, go, to someone. Because, that's always a good part of life, isn't it? I mean, my long-suffering blue-nosed mate, Col, who won't be watching for obvious reasons, I literally, for years, used to ring him up. Like, this is before mobile phones. I would ring his house every time Everton got beat, which was a lot. Yeah. and just go down the phone. And I remember he got really pissed off with me, which is not unreasonable. And I can remember ringing once, and obviously he could work out from, well, that's the result. This is the time. The phone's going. That's going to be Gareth. And he got his ma to answer it. And he always answered normally. But he got his ma to answer it. And I was like, "Is Lo Colin there?" And she was like, "No, we can't get to the phone right now," or something like that. And he was obviously there. And I said, "Can you pass a message on?" And she went, "Yeah, no problem." I said, "Okay, just tell him." And next time I saw him, he was like, "You're such a knobhead." And I still am. Get in. Matt Stanley's thrown a fiver in. He said, bit of a shout, but was Dom's leave Bobby-esque, the dummy?
Oh, yeah.
He says, anyway, get a bag of Tory crisps on me. Cheers, Matt. It was Bobby-esque a little bit, wasn't it?
It was like knowing the best thing to do in that situation is nothing. That's the kind of thing. And also being selfless, like not wanting to take the glory for himself, but passing up a decent shot for the better shot. Yeah, absolutely pure Bobby.
Arsenal then, dead quickly. Arsenal this weekend, of course. They won at Old Trafford and they tonked Leeds. And Arteta is now under huge pressure to deliver, having spent another £200 million plus. He's got a striker now as well. And unfortunately for him, get the violins out, Saka, Havertz and Odegaard are all likely to miss Anfield, with Odegaard the only one probably who's got a bit of a chance. It was a shoulder injury for him.
I'm not going to lie, I do feel a bit sad for Saka. Like, I genuinely like him as a human and as a footballer. And I don't want him to be in a situation where he's getting injured. The
other hamstring this time, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes me worry for him. But like you say, in terms of the pressure, like in theory, they're now in a better place to deal with these injuries than they were last season. I mentioned Madueke is probably going to come in for Saka. Let's say they've still got Gyökeres. Even if Odegaard can't play, they've just bought Eze. Exactly, I'm assuming he'll come in and play. They're a good team. they're going to have good players. It's going to be a tough game. And quietly, after being one of those teams that we used to just turn up and turn over, we haven't beaten them in a while.
No, the last 4 at Anfield have been draws. Got the list here. So, 2-2 last season, 1-1 the season before, 2-2 the season before. League Cup semi-final in 2022, 0-0. 2021, November 2021, we beat them 4-0 in the Premier League at Anfield. That's the last time on our own soil it is the last time we've done them.
Yeah.
As you say, it's not been an easy game for a while. It's probably not going to be an easy game this weekend. Totally get the fears.
Especially around set pieces.
And they are good. They are they are good at the back as well. It's going to be a tough one. But I think to be honest, I'm just looking at that big long list of draws and thinking, if it was another one, I'd take that.
Having got 6 points now, and the fact that there's only 2 other teams who've got 6 points, and if we draw, then that would be one of them. And I mean, with all due respect, Tottenham are going to keep winning. They're Tottenham. I feel like we'd be in a very good position, 7 points out of 9 going into the break, if that is the case. But you never know. You just never know with this team. They might do it again.
Another late winner.
Who can we pick to come off the bench? I saw someone tweeting me earlier today saying a Giovanni Leone 94th minute header.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
That's the plan every week, yes. Someone else completely random comes off the bench and scores the winner. Before
we get to the end of the free show, though, I wanted to kind of remind everyone of something that we were going to be doing in the Patreon show. So I mentioned last week about Lindsay's little trip to the Highlands.
Oh yeah,
I showed you the picture of all the bountiful amount of crisps. Well, check this bad boy out.
Wow,
we have got woodland mushroom and wild garlic. We have got onion bargies.
What? I'm gonna have them.
We've got the gentleman's relish.
They're not really crisps, I have to say.
Oh, come on.
They're not, though. They're nice. I've had them. Gentleman's relish.
Curry sauce.
Gentleman's relish conjures up the wrong images for me.
Wagyu beef and honey mustard.
Oh.
Italian cheese and wine.
Meow.
And tartar flat. Now, kind of a little bit of an advert. We're not going to eat these now. What we're going to do now is we're going to pick one of them to eat, and then we're going to eat them in the break between the shows, and then we're going to talk about them on the Patreon show. So if you want to know how it tastes, you know what you have to do. You've got to come over to the Patreon show. So, which one do you want to go at?
I don't know. Should we, the first person to comment with what one they want us to go at, we'll do that. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
No one's commented. The only other stuff I was going to mention to wrap up, I was going to mention the deadline is Monday for transfers. So obviously we've got 6 days there to do something. Gay and Isak, as every single Liverpool fan out there will know, are still the 2 main links. We will still wait and see what happens. There is no actual news apart from, Newcastle's owners apparently went to his Ken and had a chat with them, but no one knows what got said. No one knows, what that means. And all we're hearing from lots of journalists, there's lots of speculation and no actual fact. No. So all we can do is wait. We don't know anything more. You don't know anything more. They don't know anything more. Who knows? But fingers crossed, because what a belter that would be if he signed, or if both of them signed, to be honest. And the only other little bit that I spotted that seemed new-ish was Tsimikas has been linked with a loan move. Roma, Marseille and Olympiacos believed to be interested.
It makes sense. I mean, Roma, I think, are going to be a really good team this year. So if I was his agent, I'd definitely be picking them over the others. Marseille, I mean, they've just basically sacked 2 of their players having a fight, so I'd avoid that like the plague. And then Olympiacos, You can go back home. It makes sense if you want to. But yeah, I'd be going Rome if it
Other Ian, who normally comments in the Patreon show, but has commented on the free show this week, says, Robbo, will you send me a voice note of you lads crunching down the mic? Because I miss it. Because all of that, what Mo said, you see, is because some of yous have been a bit meldrew, saying, well, I know you've done crisps from the very start, but I hate it when you're cleaning your teeth and crunching crisps and all that and blah, 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 blah. So that's why we're doing it where we're not actually crunching it. And now other Ian's going to miss it. The first answer, by the way, was, oh, lad, mushroom.
Look, we're going to get through them all eventually.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, that wasn't the one that was taking my fancy. Wagyu beef and honey mustard sounds good.
But this is the problem. You literally said.
I know, I did say. Ian, you've done me dirty. Cara Roberts, who's he? My son, you cheeky little shit, has said, gentleman's relish sounds like your aftershave. And just to plug the Patreon, we are trying to make the Patreon more or less footy. That's like not a great sentence for me there. We're trying to make it more, a bit of life, a bit of madness, like it used to be, really. Because what we'd started to do is that footy kept rolling into the Patreon, and then that was all about footy. And what people tend to tell us when we ask for feedback is, we like the footy, but we like the madness as well. We like the crisp. We like the facts. We like talking about Liverpool, life, mental health, whatever it might be. So we're trying to get back to that. Yeah. So this week's Patreon will include some crisps. We're going to talk about the attempted far-right protest in Liverpool. Went well, that, lads. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about people who can't be bothered to stick their headphones in on public transport. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about whether life might be a simulation. Nice one for that, Stu, right? We're going to talk about a gaff, an island where it's just untouched by civilization. There's a tribe kicking around on there. That's a bit mad and was a new one on me. We're going to have a little bit of chat about that. We're going to talk about paddle. Because I'm trying to get into it. I want to buy a racket. I don't know what one to get, and I'm looking for recommendations. And then we'll do a little bit on mental health as well. So if you fancy all of that, it's going to be on the Patreon this week. £1 a week is all it costs to get the extra show. If you want to have a look at sort of like what that might look like, we're trying to clip up some of the Patreon stuff a little bit more as well. So if you look on our YouTube channel, you can see there that there's a big section about me going to Ireland and Oasis gig and all that from last week. We clipped that up and that's on there for free. We'll try and do little bits of that now as well, where we'll show you free bits so that it might tempt you in to the good side, the bit that helps us. Also as well, for people that do subscribe, we are finally going to do a producer show this week. We're going to work it out, we're going to make it happen, and we're going to get it out there. So Thursday, dinner time, if you subscribe, we want you to jump on a Zoom call with us. And the producer show, for those that don't know, is the people who pay the top tier. And basically we get them all on a big call. We have a big chat about the late challenge, what's good, what's bad, what can improve, what you like, what don't you like, all of that kind of stuff. And then we put it out on Patreon as a little extra show that you can watch. So you can either join us and get involved, or you can watch later, put comments in below, etc. And it's a nice little community thing. So yeah, that's the plan. Come and join us over there if you want. Just a little shout for my t-shirt as well for people who are watching. This Champions Again t-shirt should shortly be available from Spirit of Shankly. It would suggest you join. And that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. I don't think we've actually worked out what day we'll be back on next week.
Monday, right?
We're going back to Monday?
Yeah.
5 o'clock?
Yeah. I mean, that is the day of the transfer window. So maybe some mad shenanigans happening. But yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, I'm getting nods in the gallery as well. Okay, so we'll be back to Monday, 5 o'clock next week. So come and join us then. And as ever, if you liked any of this gear, if you think this is a good podcast, go out there and tell people. Go out there and tweet about it. Go and tell people why. Encourage them to get involved. And Cara, I absolutely tonked your ass at paddle, lad. So you commenting in the comments about my ability, Ara. Keep up, son. You can't smash it like your dad, can you? Anyway, okay, that's it. Bye.